Xi Jinping arrived yesterday in the United States, and he indicated sort of what his message would be last week in interviews with the Wall Street Journal and other conversations, with a lot of confidence about China, the state of China's economic fundamentals today. That's his message, that we're in a position of strength. Of course, we've got challenges to manage, but really everyone must acknowledge that the odds are in favor of China outperforming and America kind of muddling through going forward. And that's very important to handicapping and thinking about what the conversation is going to look like and feel like when the leaders of these two countries get together and talk about modifying business as usual in the bilateral relationship and in the global economy. I think what stands out, though, at the moment is that there are questions of confidence arising about the Chinese side of that equation today. Questions which were natural just given the enormity of the economic transformation China has already acknowledged needing to make. The third plenum, which we, as Kevin mentioned, exhausted an analysis of in Avoiding the Blind Alley here at ASPE last year, that was a given that, even if they get everything right, this is a very high degree of difficulty transformation that Xi Jinping has to oversee. And then add to that the short-term questions of confidence and competence that arise from this past summer, where in trying to make steps forward on a couple of the important planks of that transformation, Beijing really did stumble quite badly in terms of its basic understanding of what it means to optimize capital markets. It turns out they don't have a clue. Now, they're not alone there. Everybody in the world that's tried to catch that falling knife has messed it up and embarrassed themselves. But I think we gave President Xi and his colleagues a little bit more credit than, frankly, they deserve in terms of their readiness to manage that process, right? So we've got the capital markets problems. We have how the modest devaluation was managed. The policy itself was, I think, an excellent one and a terrific step, but the way it was delivered, implemented, and communicated was surprisingly ham-fisted to in my view.
The debates about the future direction of the Chinese economy are no longer do we know where they're headed? Because you read the third plenum report, you read Dan's studies, and you read Xi's speech, they know where they have to go. The new question, and an area I think of profound uncertainty, is are they able to do it? And the sort of potholes and speed bumps that they hit this summer with the stock market and the exchange rate are raising a question that really hasn't been debated very much, which is, do they have the capability, do they have the political space to pull off reforms that are increasingly difficult and costly? Which leads me to the second sort of aspect of uncertainty, which is the domestic political environment in China. Where is China headed politically? What we see is a Xi Jinping that has highly centralized, arguably over-centralized authority. We see a government that's carrying out a voracious anti-corruption campaign that basically has constipated the government. Nobody at the provincial and lower levels really want to make decisions because it's so politically risky for them to do so. They don't want to sort of get caught up in some, anti-corruption campaign or something. So I think the anti-corruption campaign, while obviously it's the right thing to do, has frustrated policymaking in the system. And then thirdly, to carry out the first two, what we see is the increasing use of, for lack of a better term, Leninist political tactics, using the propaganda apparatus to inflate the Shanghai stock market along the lines of what Dan said, using the internal security services to go after securities firms in China who may be complicit in some of these activities. That raises real questions and real flags about the political environment in China and the extent to which it's actually going to constrain or enable these economic reforms.